Back in December 2012, Poland announced its latest modernization program, which is going to run until 2022. According to the program, within this period, Poland is going to spend 130 billion Polish zlotys on various modernization efforts, out of which 90 billion is going to be spent on priority programs, the most important of which are procurement of new missile and air defense systems, procurement of new submarines, as well as new utility and attack helicopters. Although I think because this program was announced in 2012, now it is very difficult not to look at this program through the prism of what has been happening in eastern Ukraine. For this reason, and in order to make sure that the program is sufficiently financed, the Polish Ministry of National Defense is also going to increase defense spending from the current 1.95 GDP to 2% in 2016. It has been decided that the land forces will no longer modernize its Soviet-era legacy equipment. This in particular refers to the main battle tanks. For this reason, the T-72 MBT is going to be fully withdrawn from service in around by 2021, and the PT-91s are also going to be phased out between 2027 and 2032. In order to fill gaps in these capabilities, Poland has obtained 247 Leopard MBTs from Germany. This means that at present, Poland possesses approximately 800 MBTs. However, it should also be noted that the number will steadily decrease as the Soviet-era equipment is phased out. What is more, Poland has decided to step up its efforts to procure new attack helicopters, which are going to replace also the Soviet-era Mi-24s, which have been in service in the Polish armed forces since 1979. The requirement at present is at around 30 helicopters to be procured, and the tender could be issued as early as next year, which is a major improvement compared to the previous plans, which called for a procurement of helicopters from 2018. Speaking of helicopters, Poland is now also in the process of procuring 70 new multi-purpose helicopters for the Air Force, Army and the Navy. The main contenders under the program include Augusta-Westland with the AW149, Sikorsky with the S-70I, and Airbus helicopter with the EC-725. The program has been marred by delays and has really been bogged down in conversations between the supplier of the future helicopter and the Polish Ministry of National Defense. At present, the program is delayed by approximately a year, but the Ministry of National Defense is really aiming to sign a final contract for the delivery of 70 new helicopters by the end of the first half of 2015. Undoubtedly, the greatest challenge that faces the Air Force is the procurement of the new air defense and missile defense capability. At present, Poland does not possess missile defense capability, whereas its air defense assets are centered around S-125s and S-200s. The main contenders under the medium-range air defense program are the Raytheon with the next generation Patriot system and MBDA with the SMA-PT system. The MOD hopes to sign a contract also next year, and it is hoping that the first system will be delivered to Poland in around 2017. It is very possible that whoever wins the contract will provide Poland with second-hand system as an interim solution before the first systems are delivered to Poland in around 2017. Another interesting procurement program that pertains to the Polish Air Force is the procurement of 40 AGM-158 JAS missiles. This will provide Poland with a completely new capability, a capability that the Polish Air Force has never really had. The missiles have operational range of 370 kilometers, which is just enough to engage targets, for instance, in Kaliningrad and Belarus. What is more, it has been reported that the Polish government is engaged in talks with the US government about the procurement of extended range JAS missile, which will further increase the strike capability of the Polish Air Force up to 900 kilometers. Modernizing the Polish Navy is really going to be a challenge, mostly because the Polish Navy has been the most underfunded and under-resourced service out of all Polish armed forces. That's mostly because of the low priority being given to the Baltic, both under Polish and NATO planning. The submarine program is now delayed by approximately 2 years. However, the Polish Ministry of National Defense is really determined to sign a contract for a procurement of 3 submarines in 2015. If this does happen, then the first submarine should be handed over to the Polish Navy around 2020, with the remaining 2 to be delivered by 2025. At first, under the requirements set by the Ministry of National Defense, the submarines were not to have cruise missile capability. However, this has been changed, and this will also give Poland a completely new strike capability, a sort of deterrence capability Poland has never actually had. Up until a few months ago, this had been a 2-horse race between the Germans, which offer Type 212A and 214A class submarines, and the French offering the Scorpion class submarine. But a few months ago, this was changed as the Saab entered effectively the race by offering the A-26 submarine, which is still in development. And the fact that the submarine is in development could be a great weakness, but at the same time it could be a great strength. It could be a great weakness because from historical perspective, the Polish Ministry of National Defense has really been mostly interested in procuring off-the-shelf systems and was not really willing to invest resources into developing sophisticated systems. However, if a decision is made to upgrade Polish industry capabilities, especially in naval warfare, I think cooperation with Saab would provide Poland with a great boost. The overall goal of the program at first is to make sure that Poland possesses modern and NATO operable equipment. At present, it is thought that only about 25 to 30% of the equipment used in the Polish armed forces is modern. And the goal is to make sure that this number actually increases to about 65% in 2022. Concurrently, Poland will want to create a new deterrent capability upon which further deterrence capability can be based on. There are obviously challenges to fulfilling this program. I think the biggest is to make sure that the Polish Ministry of National Defense does not underspend. When we take a very short-term perspective, say a year or 2, it is not really important if the ministry spends 1.94 or 1.93% of the GDP. However, if we take a larger perspective, say a decade, we'll see that the Polish Ministry of National Defense has effectively lost about 6 billion Polish zlotys, which is approximately $2 billion US dollars. And this can effectively derail the modernization program. Polish armed forces have pursued 4 different modernization programs since the 1990s. All of them were not fulfilled, and they had to be curtailed in scope and replaced by new programs. So there are definitely concerns that this program will also be cut down and will not be fulfilled either. As Poland will be equipped with more sophisticated weaponry, the goal should be to also acquire target acquisition capability, especially over the horizon capability. At present, this is non-existent, and Poland has to rely on foreign partners in providing this capacity. This will be especially important as far as the use of JAS missile and submarine-launched cruise missiles is concerned. In order to make a full use of the new capabilities Poland is going to procure by 2022, I think Warsaw will also need to procure over-the-horizon target acquisition capability in order not to rely on foreign partners to fulfill these gaps.